like the whole application with, there we go. Now we're
Okay,
seeing it as a
better?
presentation.
Perfect. Okay,
Okay.
so um, visiting the Red Sea. There's various ways that you can travel with Blue Water Travel, and I'll just cover that quickly. We offer various types of travel, individual travel, where we can plan the trip according to your dates, when you would like to join, when you would like to travel, where you would like to go. We can book travel anywhere in the world for you. So independent travel, we have relationships with hundreds of different dive resorts and liveaboards, and we can book you to anywhere in the world. The other type of travel we offer are guided group trips where we plan an itinerary, we market that itinerary, we send Blue Water trip leaders to support you on the trip, and we do up to 30 trips a year to some amazing destinations. Many of them are photo workshops or photo support trips. So that's another fantastic way to travel. And our trip later in this year to the Red Sea is one of these guided group trips. Let me, no, my slide's taking a minute to load. So welcome to the Red Sea. As I said already, one of the seven wonders of the underwater world. It has some stunning corals, a plethora of marine life. There's some very unique marine life in the Red Sea, because it's quite isolated. The body of water is connected to the Indian Ocean, but actually quite isolated, has a higher salinity than the Indian Ocean. And so there are a lot of endemic species in the Red Sea, species that you won't find anywhere else. Uh, and so it's really interesting. A lot of people dive there specifically to see these species and to see something new. The conditions in the Red Sea are fantastic. The water's reasonably warm. Dive conditions allow diving almost year round. All the liveaboards operate there year round. Topside conditions can vary. It can be windy at some times of the year or extremely hot at some times of the year. But generally speaking, you have year round diving in the Red Sea. So here's a look at some of the dive regions. Um, Mainly split into three main areas in the Egyptian Red Sea, anyway. You have the northern area, so that's the well known wrecks and reefs itinerary. That, generally speaking, the boats for the northern region depart from Hurghada. So if you have a look at the map here, Hurghada is roughly speaking where the word south is. I think my screen's just, there we go, where the word south is. And then the boats head north. There are one or two boats that depart from Sharm el Sheikh to do the northern route as well, which is right on that point where the Thistlegorm wreck is marked. But generally speaking, the northern route departs from Hurghada, and you have some amazing wrecks on that route. So the Thistlegorm is probably the most famous one, but you can dive 7 or 8 different wrecks on that route. You then have sort of the central area. Generally, that departs from Hurghada or sometimes from Marsa Alam area. That generally is the BDE route, Brothers, Daedalus, and Elphinstone. And that's a circular route that takes you out to those 3 seamounts, and is great for bigger pelagic marine life. And then you've got the deep south. So the deep south route is much more relaxed diving. Fewer boats head down there, so the reefs tend to be in good condition, better maybe than in the north, although the north is still great. Very relaxed diving, lots of swim throughs and nice relaxed, slow drift diving in the south. Okay, so a little bit about what you might see in the Red Sea. Um, some big animal encounters. I've talked a little bit about endemic species. There are many, many small and medium reef fish, lots and lots of nudibranchs there. But then in terms of the big stuff, oceanic whitetips, so the Longimanus, which are well known at Brothers, that's probably the most famous site for spotting those. They spend a lot of time there, and divers will hopefully encounter them on every dive at the Brothers dive sites. Hammerheads as well. So in BDE, Brothers Daedalus Elphinstone route, you're likely to see hammerhead sharks. Threshers are seen there quite regularly. dolphins throughout the whole of the Red Sea. I've seen dolphins many, many times, big pods of dolphins in the Red Sea. And then less commonly, there is a very good chance in the summer months to see mantas, whale sharks also, and dugongs. Less common, but up in the Dahab area, it's not unlikely to see dugongs. There are some that live up in that area. And then I spoke already about some wrecks. We do have some fantastic wrecks in the Red Sea. Thistlegorm is probably the most famous. I think that's a picture of the Thistlegorm on the bottom left there, the trucks in the Thistlegorm. That was a military supply ship sunk during the war with all the cargo still on board. So it's a great dive. And then there are a full range of other wrecks. So there everything from some wooden hulled vessels like the Dunraven, the Carnatic, which was a wooden steam driven boat. Janus D is another really fascinating wreck. I think that biggest picture might be the Janus D. So there's all sorts of wrecks in the Red Sea, and you can do itineraries specifically focusing on the wrecks. Okay, so diving conditions then. The water temperature does vary. If you're there in the winter months, so November through to February, March, it can be a bit cooler. 70 sort of low to mid 70s. It does warm up, and the water temperatures, especially in the south, can be quite warm as you get through the summer. So up to the mid 80s. So the full range. The big thing to remember though is topside, it can be a little windy sometimes. So although the water temperature is warm, it can be a bit cooler on the surface. In the summer, that's great because topside in the summer, temperatures can be excessively hot, 100 plus. That's why we advise probably March to May, and then September through to November are the best times to visit the Red Sea. That just keeps you out of the really hottest times of the topside weather. Let me move on. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about how to get there. So most flights will route through Cairo, the capital of Egypt. You can see it on the map there at the very north of the Red Sea. There are some international flights into Sharm el Sheikh or into Hurghada, depending on where you're starting from. But most people will route through Cairo and then take a domestic flight down to Sharm or Hurghada. If you're coming from Europe, then there are direct flights into Hurghada and Sharm. They're very used to tourists and very used to travelers, so the airports are well set up to manage divers and dive gear. And then the boats will transfer you. So whether you come into Sharm, Hurghada, or Marsa Alam, the boats will pick you up and transfer you on board. The flights don't tend to route through the Middle East. I'll talk about this in a minute, but the flights into Egypt generally don't come through the Middle East. So you're not flying through Dubai. Internationally, they mostly come through Turkey or the UK, actually. I'm just going to let some more people into the waiting room. Let me just do that now. Okay. Thanks, guys. Okay, carrying on then, how to get there. Let's talk a little bit about whether or not it's safe to travel to Egypt. We have to talk about the current conflict. It's certainly a lot of people are a little bit concerned about traveling to that part of the world. The Red Sea itself is not involved at all in the current conflict in the Persian Gulf. In fact, it's a considerable distance from the Persian Gulf. There's no issue at all in Egypt or in the Red Sea. I've traveled there myself this year. We have hundreds of customers visiting Egypt this year, and there is genuinely no issue at all in terms of the current conflict. There's a long distance between the Red Sea and Iran, and the travel routes, as I said already, go through Istanbul or through Cairo. Absolutely avoiding Dubai and the Straits of Hormuz. So from my point of view, there's absolutely no reason not to travel to Egypt at the moment. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about our upcoming group trip that we have. I know we have a few, I can see a few customers that are joining us in the Red Sea in November. So we have a guided group trip that's departing from, it actually departs from Marsa Alam, but flying into Hurghada. The dates of the trip are from November 7th through 14th. So it's a 7-night trip. It's on the Red Sea Aggressor 4. So it's a reasonably new boat, part of the Aggressor fleet. We're doing the BDE route, so Brothers Daedalus and Elphinstone, embarking and disembarking in Port Galib, and doing that circular route that takes you around those awesome offshore sites. So hopefully quite a sharky route, lots of pelagic action. The trip is discounted, and we're actually offering a deep discount for those that are joining the webinar. And we're offering a last minute, because we've had some cancellations, we do have a couple of spots available. So if you're interested, please reach out to me, and we can let you know if we can help you, because we have had a couple of cancellations because I explained people are slightly nervous to travel. So we've had some cancellations, and these guests are offering a discount on their spot. So just a little bit about the group trip. It's on the Red Sea Aggressor 4, as I said already, 7 nights on board. It's all inclusive, so your meals, your accommodation, your diving is all included. I believe there are some $150 worth of park and port fees in addition, but otherwise everything is included. Up to 4 dives a day. And we also have our 2 trip leaders, Shane and Ramona, with us, who are going to offer some video and photo tuition on the trip. And I'll introduce them and have them chat to you in a minute. The other thing we're offering as part of this trip is a Topside tour. So this is a 5-night trip that we are putting on before the liveaboard. And it's just, I mean, why would you fly all that way without discovering the rest of Egypt? So our Topside tour starts in Cairo. You visit the museum, the Egyptian Museum, the pyramids at Giza, the Sphinx, the famous temples. And then there's a domestic flight to Luxor, where you visit the famous sites there, so Valley of the Kings, etc. And I did this myself earlier in the year, and it's absolutely amazing. It's just stunning, and I can't recommend it enough. It's so interesting. So that's an add-on that we're offering at the start of the liveaboard trip. So I think I will introduce Shane and Ramona, and let them say hi to you guys. So Shane and Ramona have led a few trips with us in the past for Bluewater. They both have a ton of experience. Shane with directing, producing, and editing media, and Ramona with photography. And they're going to be leading this trip to the Red Sea. And I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so that you can see them and say hi. And they're just going to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about why they are super excited about this Red Sea trip.
You want to go first?
Do you want
Hi.
You go,
You go first.
All right. Well, I'm Shane Reynolds. This is my beautiful wife, Ramona. We are, like Jill said, we're going to be trip leading in early November through mid-November.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're just super excited because first and foremost, we love diving, and this is kind of world-class diving that we're going to be dealing with. Also, after being I mean, we've traveled to dozens and dozens of countries together around the world for different projects and different diving and different things. And I can honestly say that we both agree that pound for pound, our favorite place we've ever been is Egypt. and that's just because Egypt is one of those places that is just
Magical.
yeah, it just has a little bit of everything you can possibly imagine, from culture to beauty to adventure to food to
History.
and in this case, amazing diving. We have dove in the Red Sea a few times, out of Hurghada, out of Sharm, out of Saudi Arabia, but we haven't done this trek, so we're really excited because we're big shark lovers. Love wreck diving, uh, things like that. I do the video work. Ramona does the photo work. Why don't you take it?
I'll take it from here. Okay, fine. Yes, I've been professional photographer for over 20 years, topside and below the surface. But my biggest passion is shooting underwater, and I love to share my skills with insight with anyone who's interested. I really feel fortunate to have this opportunity to lead these trips with Bluewater, and one of my favorites is that I get to meet like-minded people and spend time with them, and that really means a lot to me. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this trip. I'm looking forward to going back to Egypt and seeing my first oceanic white tip.
Yeah, it's if you have any fear of sharks, this would be a good one to talk with, because she had a absolute terror of sharks for many years when we were diving in the many years
Never wanted
ago.
to see them.
And now and ever since she started diving with them, it pretty much changed her whole outlook to it. Now she goes on specific shark dives,
And it all started with Bluewater, Socorro. That was how I got over my fear. I was like, I'm not taking him with me. I'm going on my own, and I'm obsessed. So
and so I've done a lot of video work over the past 25 plus years at this point. We'll have our gear there. We'll definitely be on hand to help out with video and photo tips and tricks. Absolutely. While we're there. It won't be a workshop per se, but we're always happy to kind of share knowledge and see how we can all get the best kind of experience with it, and imagery out of that experience. And people tend to appreciate the fact that we're with them, because we end up typically kind of making some pretty good content that comes out of it for people to remember their trip by.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I don't know if you can remember back to your first Red Sea trip, but was there anything particular you did to prepare for traveling to Egypt? Or how do you prepare in general for traveling? Just advice for people traveling to a new destination that they haven't visited before. Is there anything that you could recommend to them?
If you are bringing photography equipment, I would make a list about, like, itemize everything that you're bringing with serial numbers, the value of it. So that would kind of like a carnet.
Yeah, if you wanted to do it officially, you get a carnet. As much as we love Egypt, it's not one of our most favorite places to fly in, just logistically. But that's just a matter of taking inventory and making sure you have the right paperwork to get in. Making sure you're not going in with a drone.
Definitely.
Right.
So it's just one of those places that it's it's not the easiest place to get to. It's not the easiest place to get into, but once you're there, it's absolutely worth every amount of effort that you have to put in to make it happen. So
and that's where traveling with a group really makes a difference on that front, because all the pre-planning is you're supported through that whole process. So as you said, drones, you're not allowed to bring a drone into Egypt, so we can pre-warn people about that. And there's there is an entry visa required. So there are things like that Bluewater can support people with in the run up to the trip and their planning, whether it's a group trip or whether it's independent travel. These are all things that we can support with. And then you talked a little bit about sharks. You're excited to encounter sharks. Obviously the Longimanus. Have you other shark species that we're likely to see there? Have you seen before? So threshers, hopefully, hammerheads, possibly whale sharks if we're lucky. I'm assuming you guys have seen those before, but there's a really good chance to encounter those on this itinerary as well.
I would recommend if you're, I mean, I know that there's like a lot of opportunity for macro as well, as you mentioned, a lot of like endemic nudibranchs and things like that. But I mean, for me, I'm definitely going wide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wide
we
angle.
like the big
Prepare
fish.
for wide.
We
Yeah.
like the big fish, but I don't know if any of you guys are Caribbean divers or Florida divers. Like it'll be nice to actually even see lionfish where they belong
Yeah.
for
Right.
once.
And they
Right.
get really big there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot. There are, as you say, there are lionfish in the Red Sea, but they're supposed to be there. So,
Yeah.
which is nice to see.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, thanks, guys. I think I just have one more slide to share. Let me see what we've got. Okay, yeah, so why book with Bluewater? We've spoken a little bit about this already. We offer a full concierge service. So whether you're traveling as part of one of our group trips or you're traveling independently, we help you plan and support your journey from start to finish. So and during. So you're basically supported the whole time. We offer a low price guarantee, so we'll always price match, even if you find the same trip somewhere else. We're happy to price match. All of our staff have dived, visited, and explored the places you want to go. So we're all generally dive professionals. We do a lot of travel ourselves. So even if the agent you're working with hasn't been somewhere, there'll be somebody else in the team that has. So we have first-hand experience of all the places that we visit. Okay, so I think that covers everything that that I wanted to chat about the Red Sea. And obviously we have some time now for some Q&A. I'm just going to run through, there's some questions in the chat, and then once we've done those, I'm happy to, we can chat on the meeting. So let's see what we have in the chat. Flight routing from Canada. Yeah, the flight routes do change reasonably regularly in and out of Cairo. I believe that Air Canada does currently have a direct flight to either Cairo or Hurghada. That was stopped for a while because there were, at one point, about 2 years ago, there was a bit of an issue between Canada and Egypt to do with immigration. That was an issue for about a year. That's now been resolved. So I think flight routing from Canada is back to normal again. It can be a reasonably lengthy flight to get into Cairo, but generally speaking, as I said already, routing through Europe or through Turkey. One stop into Cairo will get you into Egypt, and then it's a short domestic flight. Sharm is less than an hour. Hurghada is less than an hour from Cairo, so it's generally a small domestic flight on. Okay, oceanic white tips. Yeah, you know, the oceanic white tips, the dive guides in Egypt are really well versed in how to dive with them. They give you a proper safety briefing before you get in the water at sites where you're expecting the oceanic white tips. There are tips and advice on how to manage them. And the interesting thing is that you want to see them, but you want to be safe diving with them. So the guides are very, very good at understanding the shark's behavior and the temperament of the individual sharks. If they feel there might be a concern, then they won't dive, or they'll take everyone out the water. Things like they're always the first in and the last out of the water, so they're not leaving guests in the water. There's advice if there are sharks around to be upright in the water, things like that. So there is a lot of advice that they give you if you are going to be diving with the white tips. For Egypt, don't bring a drone, correct. Do you need a hard case? You know, I've flown with my gear. Generally speaking, I put almost everything in a normal normal bag. I've used soft-sided duffel bags. I've used a hard shell case as well. And then I just put my dive computer, my regs, and anything delicate I carry in hand luggage. Just be aware with batteries, if you're bringing batteries for cameras and lights, that they do fall. Airlines have different regulations as to the size of battery that you can carry in your checked versus your carry-on. They generally want the batteries in your carry-on, but it still needs to be below a certain size. So just make sure if you do have large batteries that it falls within the airline's recommendations. But I've not experienced, there's nothing different traveling through Egypt than I've experienced anywhere else in the world in terms of traveling with dive gear. As I say, the staff at the airports are very used to divers and they recognize dive equipment, so it's not something unusual for them. That's a really, I'll let Anne, there's a nice comment about one of our agents, Anne, there. I'll make sure to let her know that you loved her service. And yeah, the vest, as Shane, do you want to just mention that a minute, Shane, the vest that you've popped in the comments there?
Yeah, we're up. Yeah.
Usually, I mean, like flying through Europe or anywhere or Egypt, like they do weigh your carry-ons. They're sticklers about your carry-on. So a sky vest would be a nice like jacket that you could have with lots of great pockets to hide things to kind of offset the weight and be discreet about it.
Yeah.
They're quite expensive, but you can actually go onto eBay and find them. Like we found one for $40. And that would be a good thing to bring. And
yeah, whatever you leave with carry-on wise from America,
it won't be the same.
It'll be a different coming home. They'll
We've run into these issues
Yeah.
before, but we do travel a bit heavy. And back to the soft versus hard cases, I think like the duffel bags are really great for the dive gear and your clothing, because when you're in the liveaboard, you can just tuck them under in a way where it would be a lot harder to do that with hard suitcases, although like our camera gear will go and we check it in as
if you can
Pelican.
If you can get away with not using Pelican cases are, the people at customs notice them right away. They're great to protect your gear, but they also keep you on the radar per se.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then there's just a question about getting from Hurghada to Marsa Alam. It's a drive. It's about a 2.5 to 3 hour drive. So I don't even know if there are flights available between the two. Most boats that depart from Port Galib. So although Marsa Alam is the closest airport, there are very few international flights going into Marsa Alam. So you will probably fly into Hurghada, and then the boat will arrange a transfer for you from Hurghada down to the boat. So they do expect people to fly into Hurghada for the southern routes a lot of the time. Any other questions from anyone or anything that you want to put in the chat or that anyone would like to ask live? No, maybe we've covered everything.
Jill, is a 5
Hi,
mil
Bill.
good? 5
Yeah.
mil?
Yeah,
What you bring?
absolutely. Yeah, I'd agree. 5 mil is good for that time of year. Yeah, I would bring. I say this to everyone for all trips where you're doing multiple dives a day over multiple days. You will start to get chilly as the trip progresses, and it can be a bit chilly topside with the wind. So the air temperature is warm, but it can be a bit windy sometimes. So when you're trying to get if you're putting a thin suit on in the evenings for a night dive, it could be a bit chilly. So I would definitely err on the side of caution. Bring layers, maybe a hooded vest or a hood with you for diving in the Red Sea. Pardon?
A boat jacket, like a boat
coat? Yeah, definitely. Boat jackets are a great idea. And the boats, generally speaking, provide you with dive deck towels. But if you like one of those dive ponchos just to put straight on after a dive, then that might be a good idea for the Red Sea.
I would imagine like for the wrecks and we're going to be doing a lot of like negative entry. Is that true?
For some dives, most of the diving will be from pangas. So the pangas will take you out to the dive site and drop you. There's not a huge amount of negative entry. Actually, in the Red Sea, it's a mixture because some of the dive sites, because the Red Sea, a lot of the sites are walls. The mothership can come very close in to the walls and can drop you on the dive site. Yeah, so quite a lot of the sites you'll be dropping on a wall. It doesn't have to be like an extreme negative entry, but they do ask that you drop reasonably quickly, especially on the sites with the Longimanus, so that you're down, you're not hanging around in the top couple of meters, you're down below them as soon as possible. So yeah, negative entry is often required on those brothers sites. I'm just thinking back to when I did it, and yeah, that's yeah.
And would you recommend an SMB with reels?
Absolutely. So any diving in the Red Sea, 100% bring a surface marker buoy. Regardless of which part you're diving, north, central, or south, there are sites with current. There is some drift diving. So 100%, I would always take an SMB and reel. The other thing to mention about the Red Sea is that the dive groups tend to be larger than you may be used to in Southeast Asia, for example. So there may be 8 or 10 divers or more in a group, depending on which boat you're on and which trip you've booked. So a lot of the diving, often you will dive with a buddy, and when you're ready to surface, you and your buddy will come up before the group if you want, or the group may come up and you stay a bit longer if you want. So unguided diving, although it's not officially allowed, for divers who are comfortable and confident to dive unguided, the boats generally allow that to happen. So you will dive into the water with your groups, and then pairs will come up as they decide that the dive is ended. And that's where having an SMB is absolutely essential, so that the panga knows where you are to pick you up. I just saw some more comments. Yeah, so late November, we had some people have said they were in shorts and rashies, and they were quite comfortable. But yeah, it depends on your own comfort level. Obviously, I'm British, but I feel the cold a lot. I dive a dry suit absolutely everywhere I can. I'm rarely in a wetsuit. But yeah, it depends on your own comfort underwater. I don't think I own anything less than a 5 mil, but it's personal preference at the end of the day. DSMBs, yeah, absolutely. DSMBs are required. The guides, yeah, and at the start of the trip, the guide should have everyone on the check dive just deploy one, just to show that you've got it and you know how to use it. Any other questions or comments or anything anyone would like to ask? Just even about travel, about the Red Sea in general, or that area in general. No. Okay, we can start winding things down then. Oh, Bill, hey.
And anything special for the land tour? Clothing wise or camera wise or?
Yeah, so November's a really nice time. It is still going to be warm during the days. The nice thing is that the transport is all air conditioned, but you can expect it to be warm and fairly exposed. So there are some sites with plenty of shade. There are some sites where so Valley of the Kings, for example, there are areas where it's quite exposed. There's not much shade until you go into the tombs. So sun protection I can't emphasize enough having sun protection out there. Hat, a face gaiter is a really good idea. Full length sleeves and slacks to make sure that you're covered and protected from the sun. And then water is the other big one, having your own water bottle that you can refill and bring with you. I think those were the big ones for me when I was there. It's a busy itinerary. You're kind of doing a lot in a few days, and it can get quite busy and quite tiring. So I would absolutely make sure that you have batteries for your camera, that when you leave the hotel for the day, that's probably you set for the day. So a small backpack to bring everything you need. Make sure that you have I like to bring, although I'm not a photographer, I bring a rechargeable battery pack for my electronics with me, that I can recharge things on the go during the day. So that's probably something else to keep in mind. But we can talk when the trip approaches. We'll have a meeting for those guests that are actually signed up for the trip, and we can talk in a lot more detail about what we recommend bringing specifically for the Topside tour. Okay, I don't see any more questions in the chat. Anything else you wanted to add before I close the meeting, Shane and Ramona? You
No,
guys
just
happy? Cool.
excited.
Super
We're
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
hope that you guys will come along with us.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I really appreciate your time and watching our presentation today. I will drop an email out to you all with a recording of the meeting so that you can watch it again in your own time if you want to. But as I say, any questions at all about the Red Sea, I myself have been there many times. Many of our other agents have as well. So if it's of interest, you'd like more information, please don't hesitate to reach out and say hi. But thank you all and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.